The spearmen can use throw spear. If you line them up and you use throw spear, I've actually taken out ultimates before with just throw spear. Its base attack is that good. If you have enough spearmen using their throw spear ability and you don't miss, you can actually take out ultimates because of how high its attack is. So yeah, it has its place. But yeah, nomads are just really good overall. Like I said, the only real letdown is their ultimate, sadly. Although I do like the way he looks. He looks badass. It's like this giant black toucan bird with, like a rider on it. Looks really cool. Let's see, that's all the neutrals. We get into the evil ones. Goblins, much like the frostlings and the elves, are pretty crap. I'd say they're slightly better because they have more units that are usable, but they're mostly crap. Their level 1 units are pretty much garbage. Really, their only good one is the Darter, which is Poison Darts and Marksman 3. I'd say maybe he might even be better than the Rogue. Hold up, let's check. Where is Halflings? That'd be hilarious. That would make me wrong twice in a row. Because at first I thought the Herbalist was the best of the bunch. But she's level 3. This guy's level 2. The Darter is level 1, so that's even better. We'll see. Poison Darts, yeah, that's the same. Poison Darts and Marksman 3 is the same. Darter, Poison Darts, Marksman 3. He gets, what? Cave Crawling, so he's no penalty underground. He gets an immunity. Interesting. His stats are terrible, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, he's better. So, if you want a ranged dart thrower, there's actually a level 1 one for goblins, which I never even noticed. And if you can get him up to Marksmanship 3, which is fairly hard for level 1 unit, but if you can, that puts his stats at a really respectable range. It puts it at, what is that? Like 11-7 or something like that. That's very respectable for a level 1 unit. I still say the Horse Archer beats him easily. Also a level 1 unit and has double the movement. They're not even comparable. The Horse Archer destroys him, but without the Horse Archer, taking that out of the picture, the Darter's actually a really good level 1 unit. Yeah. So there's one that I never even noticed. The Butcher is actually pretty damn good. He gets a combination of Polearm, which again, like I said, when you attack mounted or flying, he gets +3 attack and damage. So against mounted and flying, he becomes basically 1 level higher. His stats are effectively 1 level higher. Actually, that would put him at 15 attack. That's actually more like either a really good level 3 unit or an ultimate. That's extremely high attack. His damage would be at 11, which is about par for a level 3 unit. But his attack would be crazy good. So he'd be extremely effective against those two types of units, mounted and flying. The rest of his stats are kind of shit. 8 defense, 6 resist, 16 health, they're all kind of crap. His other abilities, First Strike means when he attacks, or when he gets attacked, he still gets to attack first, is what it does. So he gets that first hit in. The big difference between him and anything we've seen so far is life stealing. The way life stealing works is every time you attack, if you hit, if you connect with your attack, you immediately get 2 health. It's a flat health, 2 health every single time. So if you hit all 3 of your attacks per round, you get 6 health back. He only has 16 health. That's quite a bit of sustainability. So life stealing is easily one of the best defensive abilities in the game, just for keeping your units alive. So yeah, he has Polearm, First Strike, and life stealing. Sadly, he does not have an elemental strike, which would really supplement his damage. That would push him over the edge. If he did, he'd be one of the best units in the game. For level 2. Easily one of the best. Sadly, he doesn't, and his damage is kind of meh as it is. He has unusually good attack, but everything else is kind of meh. But yeah, Polearm, First Strike, and life stealing, you put those together and he's still a good unit. He even gets round attack, which is once per fight or whatever. Round attack's much better on higher level units, because it uses their attack and damage. And in this case, it's 12-8, which is much worse than the higher level ones. But yeah, put all those abilities together, it is a decent unit. He even gets poison immunity for the hell of it. Wolf Rider does not get elemental strike. His stats are below average. He's a piece of crap, basically. The Beetle is actually surprisingly decent for a mounted unit. I wouldn't say he's one of the best, but he's definitely pretty good. I mean, probably the one I'd compare him with is either the what's its... The Iron Maiden, which would put him at... Hold up. He's got less attack, 2 less attack, 1 more defense, 2 less health, same damage, 3 less resists, less movement. So yeah, he loses in stats, straight up. They both have an elemental strike. His is better. He gets an immunity and wall crushing and a bunch of other crap. She gets phase and holy champion eventually. Yeah, she's definitely better than him. I mean, the 2 attack alone is huge. That's a massive difference. In the same level range, they're both level 3 units. 2 attack is huge. But all of her other stats are better too for the most part. So yeah, she's just better than him. Doesn't make him a bad unit. Just means he's not the best for this level. He's still a decent unit. Wyvern Rider is a piece of crap. He does get an elemental strike, but his base stats don't compare to the other really good level 3 flying units. I think it's... We'll go and compare them. There's one right here, right? No, it's not. Where's... Oh, it's Archons. That's right. Pegasus Rider, where are you? Let's say this is 3rd best, but we'll straight up compare it to the Wyvern Rider. Let's see. It's Holy Strike and... What else? Holy Immunity. That's really it. Versus Poison Strike and Poison Immunity. Again, that's really it. They both get charged, but that's obvious. So it's just a straight up battle between stats for the most part. Let's see. 2 more attack, obviously huge. 1 more defense. Same health. 2 more damage. Yeah, see, it's a piece of crap. It's garbage compared to the 3rd best. This isn't even the best flying unit for level 3. This is the 3rd best. So yeah, the Wyvern Rider is a piece of crap. The Troll is garbage. It's a level 3 unit with a single shot ranged attack, in this case Hurl Boulder. But the problem is Hurl Boulder isn't much better than Fire Crossbow, which you can get on level 1 units. So yeah, I mean, you've got like double the upkeep for basically the exact same attack per turn. It doesn't make any sense. Efficiency-wise, it's ridiculous how bad the Troll is. And that's really all he gets. Hurl Boulder, and he doesn't even get good marksmanship. He only gets up to level 2. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure Fire Crossbow and Hurl Boulder are almost identical. Let's check. Crossbow. 16.7 and Hurl Boulder is 16.5. It's worse by 2 damage. Oh my god. Wow. So, not only is this an expensive as hell unit, it also has a worse attack and less marksmanship. It's just terrible. There's no excuse for using the Troll at all. None. It's bad. Even if you're saying, well, it can go into melee like the Charioteer. No, because it has no offensive stats, or I mean offensive abilities to back up its melee. None. No elemental strike, no nothing. You know, it's a mediocre melee unit. It's not like the Charioteer where it gets Holy Strike and has higher, you know, base stats than this. No, it's very mediocre for melee, and its ranged attack is subpar. Yeah, so it's garbage. It's garbage. 2 less base damage, 1 less marksmanship from the next best. Really blah stats. It's a piece of crap. Karag, the Goblin Ultimate, it's basically the Blitzkrieg version of an ultimate. Really good attack, really good damage, elemental strike. Does it even get elemental strike? Wow, it doesn't. Are you shitting me? I could have sworn it got poison strike. Wow. Okay, so that basically makes its high damage stat completely irrelevant. Yeah, completely irrelevant. It does get Cause Fear eventually, but then so do tons of ultimates. All the best Brawler ultimates get Cause Fear, so that's not special at all. Really, the only thing that's special about it is First Strike. That's it. Yeah. Wow. Let's go ahead and do a straight-up comparison to the best ultimate brawler in the game, which would be the Lord. I have a feeling the Karag is going to be a piece of crap in comparison. I have a feeling it's not even going to be close. Let's see, he gets 1 more attack, which is good. He gets 4 less defense. 4. That's huge. Same health. 1 more damage, which in this case means nothing at all. I'll tell you why in a minute. 1 less resist, and he has good movement. That's something. So yeah, 1 more attack, 1 more damage, and a little bit more movement. I think it's actually a sizable bit more movement versus 4 defense, which is fucking massive, and I think what was it, 1 resist. So really the only thing that matters there is the 1 attack. The movement's not going to matter on the ultimate unit, at least for me. If they're ground-based and they're ultimate, which means they're important, I'm going to give them a transport, so they're going to automatically have 40 movement. The base movement only really matters for piddly units that I'm not going to waste a transport on, like things below level 3, stuff like that. So the movement's not going to even matter in the slightest. The damage doesn't matter, the 1 damage difference, because he gets dual elemental strike. He doesn't get elemental strike at all. So that's 2 different elemental 50% boosts in damage. In this case, Death Strike and Magic Strike. That's going to skyrocket his damage. Just into the stratosphere. We're talking about like double the listed damage. Versus 14. So yeah, the 1 point of damage doesn't matter. The movement doesn't matter, because I would give them a transport. Really all that matters, the only thing this guy has on the Lord is he gets 1 more attack, 1, and he gets first strike. Which means when he swings, he gets to swing first. The problem is, the Lord literally hits twice as hard, and has 4 more defense, which means he's way harder to hit. Far and away harder to hit. Let's see, he also gets Unholy Champion, really good. Double immunity, including death immunity, really good. Cause Fear, like I said, they all get Cause Fear. Although he has to wait for it, which kind of sucks. Wall Crushing for the hell of it. He's just better. I mean, even if he didn't have any of this crap, even if they were completely equal, the dual elemental strike alone is massive. Let's say he didn't have 4 more defense and Unholy Champion and double immunity and all this crap. Just the dual elemental strike alone would make him better. But he added all this other crap and he's just far and away better. I mean, he just destroys this guy completely. I think a fairer comparison would be this guy and the Titan, which I believe is probably the 3rd best brawler in the game for the ultimate units. Let's compare the two. He gets 1 more attack again. He gets 2 more damage, but that doesn't make up for Holy Strike. Holy Strike's going to put his damage total at, what is that, 18 or something like that, possible damage. So yeah, the Holy Strike more than makes up for the 2 damage difference. He's got 1 attack. This guy's got 4 more defense again, which is huge. He's got really close to his movement, way more, or sorry, a little bit more health. Sorry, a little bit more health. Really, the only difference here that I'm seeing in stats that matters is the 1 attack. Again, it's the 1 attack that this guy has in his favor. As far as abilities, they both get. Oh, actually, he gets 2 immunities. Not surprising. Like I said, almost every ultimate gets at least 2. In this case, Fire's really good and Holy's kind of crap. He gets, what is it, 1 immunity? Yeah, 1 immunity, Poison. They both get Wall Crushing, they both get Willpower. What else? Really, again, it comes down to... Oh, he doesn't get Cause Fear. I didn't notice that. Wow, that's fucking huge. That's big, right there. I just assumed he did. I wasn't paying attention. He doesn't. The Titan doesn't even get Cause Fear. Wow. That's a big difference right there. The question is Cause Fear, First Strike, and 1 attack stat, 1 point in attack, better than dual immunities, Holy Strike, plus 4 defense, and a little bit of health? That sounds like a lot, but I think maybe this guy edges him out, actually. I'm surprised, but I think he does. Total damage, he has like a possible 4 more damage, which is good. He has 4 more defense, which is really, really good. It makes him much harder to hit. And he has immunity to a very common type of damage. So he hits harder, he's harder to hit, and he's immune to fire. But the problem is, Cause Fear is fucking amazing. Every time he attacks something, he has a chance to fear them. When he fears them, they have to run, they lose their turn, and you get a free attack of opportunity. So Cause Fear is really, really good. And he gets first strike, which means he still hits like a truck, and he gets that damage in first, even if he gets attacked, which isn't bad. It's not amazing. It's not the best offensive ability, but it's not bad. And then he gets one more attack for the hell of it. So he hits a fraction of the time more often. I don't know. I think he might be slightly better than the Titan. Maybe. They're pretty damn close, honestly. If the Titan got Cause Fear, it wouldn't have been even close. But he doesn't. So, I don't know. I don't know. He's definitely not bad. As far as the Brawler ultimates, he's probably like 3rd or 4th-ish. Somewhere around there. Which isn't bad. He's bad if you compare him to the Lord, but then so does pretty much everyone else. There's very few units that can compare to the Lord. He's fucking amazing. I think the only one that can really directly compare to him, as far as being an ultimate and filling the same role, is the Reaper. It's the only unit in the game that can really compare to the Lord. But yeah, the Krag's still pretty good. Troll's a piece of crap. He's even worse than I thought he was. Wyvern Rider is a piece of crap. I already knew that. Big Beetle's okay. Butcher's pretty good for a level 2 unit. The rest of them are kind of crap. I guess the Darter is decent. Again, if you could, I'd rather have the Horse Archer. They fill the same role. The only difference is his element is poison instead of physical. But the Horse Archer literally has double his movement points, which is fucking huge. They're going to move around the map twice as fast, and in battle, they have twice the action points to move away, twice the distance to move away. So yeah, it's huge. It's still a good unit, but not anywhere near the best. I'd say the best of their units is probably, I don't even know. They're all pretty so-so. They're not bad. Yeah, I don't even know. I wouldn't say any of them are the best for their level or even close. Like, he's 3rd or 4th. He's 3rd or 4th. As far as Brawler level 2s go, he's pretty good. He's probably like maybe 2nd or 3rd. And then the Darter is probably a second best ranged unit for level 1. So maybe the Darter is actually the MVP for Goblins, honestly. For his level. He's probably the MVP. The Orcs. The Orcs are special in that they're the only unit, or the only race in the game that has a level 3 unit that can brawl with level 4 units. The only one in the entire game. That's very special. I'll get into that in a minute. Their level 3 units are all, level 1 units are all garbage. They're nothing to write home about. They don't get any interesting abilities. Their stats aren't that great. They're kind of crap. Their cavalry for level 2 is a piece of shit. It has no elemental strike. Its stats aren't amazing. There's nothing special about it. Abomination is decent. It's like the Slither guy. It has Venomous Spit and Marksmanship too, which is so-so. It's not bad. That's really all it's there for. So their abilities are either situational or garbage. It gets Entangle. Entangle it's crap. The Shaman is a very special unit in that he could have been fucking amazing. I mean, he could have truly been one of the best units in the entire game, but his stats just don't hold up when you try to break it down. He gets Elemental Strike, he gets Energy Drain, which is either the best or second best offensive ability in the entire game. And combining those two, he could have been a really good melee unit, just with those two abilities alone. He could have been a really good level 3 melee unit. And on top of that, his defensive abilities, he's got Death Immunity, Poison Immunity, really good immunities. He's got a ranged attack, Black Bolts, and Marksmanship 2, in case he didn't want to get into melee. So he's kind of like a pseudo-charioteer. But the problem is, even though he can melee, and he's got really good melee abilities, Strike and Energy Drain, even though he can do ranged, and he's got Black Bolts and Marksmanship 2, even though he's got dual immunity, all these cool abilities that stack up, his stats just don't lend themselves to doing anything well. His health is terrible. His defense is below average, which means anyone who hits him, they're going to kill him very, very quickly. He's got really good attack, but his damage is most assuredly below average. But that doesn't matter. Because, you know, to do physical attacks, you have to be in melee range. And his defense is so fucking bad that he's going to die extremely quickly. I mean, the only way I could see salvaging him as a great unit is if he had, like, Blurred or Lifesteal or something to give him more sustain. But as it is, 9 defense and 15 health, he's going to drop like a rock. And if you take that out of the equation, the melee stuff, If you ignore Poison Strike and Energy Drain and his pretty good attack stat, if you just make him a pure ranged attacker, he's shit. He only gets Marksman 2. You know, his only real claim to fame was being able to do both. And he's not good at meleeing, so he's really just a weak ranged attacker. He had a lot of potential. If he had better defense or better health or some kind of sustainability in his abilities, which he doesn't have, he could have been an amazing unit. He's just not, sadly. And it's too bad. He had a lot of potential. The Warlord is the level 3 unit that I alluded to earlier that can brawl with level 4 units. Make no mistake, a Warlord can hold his own against level 4 ultimate units. That's how good his stats are. Look at his fucking stats. 16 attack. He's like, what, second best attack rating in the entire game? I think the highest in the game is 17. His attack rating is ludicrous. 13 defense is crazy good, especially for a level 3 unit. That's really, really good. 22 health, slightly above average. Not amazing, but above average. 12 damage, well above average. Really, his only failing are his resistances and his movement. Again, he's good enough to warrant putting in a transport, so the movement wouldn't matter when I'm using him. His really only failing is his resistance. That's it. So you really don't want him getting hit by spells. They're going to melt through him pretty quickly. But as far as just straight up slugging with ultimates, in a melee fight, he can hold his own as a level 3 unit. He's the only one in the game that can. I think the only one that can even come close is maybe like the Rune Master. But the Rune Master doesn't have the attack to actually hit them consistently, whereas the Warlord does. So yeah, he truly is. He's like a 3.5 unit. He's like between level 3 and level 4. And he's really the only one that is. Sadly, as you can see, his abilities are kind of crap. Well, the one you don't see is the unique building for orcs. Gives all of their units lifesteal. So the Warlord would have lifesteal, which gives him sustain in a fight, which makes him even better when he's slugging with tough units. Because even if they come out on top, as far as per swing damage, he has the sustain to gain his life back. And the attack stat to actually connect to get that lifesteal. So yeah, he's really, really good. He has just enough to slug with, like, let's say, the Karag, or a Titan, or maybe even a Lord, if he gets lucky rolls, stuff like that. So the Warlord is very, very special in this game. And he looks badass too. He's got like full Orcish armor on and horns and shit and giant two-handed sword. He looks like an ultimate unit. And he plays like one too, like a miniature ultimate. But very good unit. Very, very good. The Doombats, much like the Shaman, the Doombats could have been amazing. But their stats don't allow it. It's the exact same problem as the Shaman. Their abilities are really damn good, but their stats don't allow them to be truly amazing. I mean, look at this health. 8 health. Any level 3 unit that hits this thing is going to kill it in one hit. God forbid an ultimate hit it. It's going to kill it easily kill it in one hit. Really, the only thing great about its stats is its defense. It has an ultimate's defense stat, which means it's really hard to hit. But if you're fighting like level 3s, like let's say you're fighting a Warlord, or you're fighting a Rune Master, or you're fighting any of the other brawler level 3s or level 4s, they're eventually going to hit this guy. It's only going to take like maybe 2 to 3 turns to get at least one hit in, and they're going to kill it. Unless they get some ridiculously bad damage roll, they're going to kill it in one hit. So that defense stat is very deceptive. It sounds really high, but it's only good when you back it up with health, and he just doesn't have any. His attack stat is pathetic, especially for a level 3. It's like well below average. Its damage stat is non-existent, which this damage stat doesn't really matter because of its abilities, but it's still really low. Its resistance is literally non-existent, well below average. It gets hit by a spell, it's dead, basically, instantaneously. It's not going to resist it, and it doesn't have the health to survive. Its movement is decent. Really, the only reason the damage stat at 4 doesn't matter, even though that's pathetic, is because it gets an elemental strike, and it gets a double strike. So it gets 6 attacks per turn, and every single attack gets 50% more damage. So its damage potential it's amazing. It's really, really high. But it doesn't have the attack stat to back it up. It doesn't have the, the in-fight stamina, the ability to survive attacks to back it up. I mean, basically all that damage potential is completely wasted, is the problem. It gets double strike, it gets poison strike, it gets lifesteal. That's like a dream team of offensive abilities on one unit. It even gets cause fear, which I had no idea about. That's insane. Double strike, lifestealing, poison strike, and cause fear all on one unit. And that's not an ultimate. That's a level 3 unit. It's fucking crazy. But the problem is, its stats are just terrible. It even gets dual immunities, death immunity and poison immunity. But its stats are just, they're irredeemably bad. That is the problem. Therein lies the problem. You know, it's a great offensive unit, but it doesn't have the attack to connect reliably. And its only real reliable defense is defense. You know, its defense stat, but something is going to hit it eventually and kill it in one hit. Its HP is so low that lifestealing becomes completely moot. It might as well not even have it. You know, if it had, you know, decent health, that'd be great. But without health, lifestealing might as well not even be there. So yeah, it's a very suicide-y type unit with horrible attack. Even if it just had good attack. Let's say it had 13 plus attack, something like that, where it could reliably hit at least level 3 units. Then it could be like a kamikaze unit, you know, with double strike and poison strike and cause fear. Then it'd have a purpose. But with 10 attack, oh my god, really bad. It becomes this like gray area where I don't even know if I'd use the unit, you know, unless I'm just trolling and messing around. Like make a group of 6 of them and see how long they last, something like that. But yeah, the Doombat and the Shaman are really disappointing. They both could have been really good with small tweaks, but they're just not. They're not good. The Glutton is specialized in that he has the highest attack stat in the game, 17. Maybe some of the neutrals have higher, but I doubt it. Really high damage, above average resists, right about average health for a level 4. Pretty crappy movement, but again, he's an ultimate. I would put him in a transport. Really is failing is his defense stat. He's the opposite of the bats. He has tons of health but no defense, which means he gets hit every single time he gets attacked. So you really need both. You know, you need decent defense and decent health on a unit, not one or the other. In this case, it kind of works for the Glutton because he wants to retaliate. The Glutton wants to get hit so he can retaliate back and all that, get attacked. Maybe not get hit, but get attacked, period, so he can retaliate back. And the game calculates, you know, your stats versus their unit stats and picks targets accordingly. So if he has really low defense, he's going to get attacked more often than, let's say, a Lord or a Warlord or something like that at, like, you know, 13 to 15 defense. And the reason that's a good thing is because the Glutton wants to retaliate because of his special ability. Every time he attacks, and assuming he has full action points, he gets to attack 3 times a turn, he gets a chance to proc Swallow Whole. The way Swallow Whole works is if the unit currently has less than, I think it's 20 health, you have a chance to instantly kill them. So the Warlord, for example, only has 22 health. Once he gets down to 20, every single time the Glutton hits him, he has a chance to instantly kill him, swallow him whole. So it's a really, really strong proc. And it works on every unit in the game. Ultimates, you know, Red Dragons, Lords, everything. And you combine that with his really high attack stat, and it means every single time he attacks, he's probably going to hit. And every time he hits, he has a chance to instantly kill you. Assuming your health is low enough. So he's a really good unit on paper. The problem is, even with 30 health, with 8 defense, when ultimates start hitting him, they're going to be doing so much damage and hitting him all the goddamn time that he's going to die crazy quickly. I mean, they're not going to miss a single attack on him. They're going to hit him every single attack. And even at 30 health, that's only average for an ultimate unit, you know? They're going to take him out in like 2 to 3 attacks. So, yeah, he's just really frail in practice against other ultimates. Against like level 3 and below units, he's going to destroy them. He's going to outlast them and you know, hit like a truck and never miss and proc Swallow Whole and all that stuff. But slugging with other ultimates, he just doesn't stack up is the problem. And it's too bad because Swallow Whole is a really cool ability. He also looks like shit. He's like Jabba the Hutt. He's this big blobby thing. He's probably easily the ugliest unit in the game. Doesn't make him very appealing. But good abilities, mostly good stats. It's just his defense sucks ass. I mean, he gets an Elemental Strike, where is it? Right there. He gets dual immunities, eventually. Swallow Whole kicks ass. So yeah, even his abilities aren't bad. They're not amazing, but they're not bad. It's just his defense blows. It's terrible. I'd still put him ahead of several of the ultimates. He's somewhere in the middle. He's nowhere near the worst. Because, like I said, he has a defined purpose. He's there to retaliate against people and swallow them. Get a lot of hits in and proc swallow. So he has a definite purpose. He's just not the Lord, you know, or the Reaper, or any of those guys. As far as overall, the Warlord's a fucking amazing unit. He's one of those few in the game where he truly is great. Because he's level 3, because he has level 3 upkeep cost, but he's like a pseudo-ultimate unit because of his stats. So yeah, he's really good. I don't think any of the other orc units are truly amazing. The Abomination is okay. Like the Shaman is just completely fucked. He has no real purpose. He's not really great at anything. The Doombats are okay for what they are. If you get really lucky and they don't get hit, they are a great unit. But it's all luck based, you know? They have to not get hit with anything. So, I think it really comes down to the Warlord, for me. It's the only unit out of Orcs I'd probably regularly use. Dark Elves, my second favorite race in the entire game. Dark Elves have some really damn good units. Executioner is the best, for his level, cavalry unit in the entire game. Mainly because he has right about average stats. He has an elemental strike, and he has lifestealing. All on a cavalry unit with 40 movement. So he automatically gets charged. They threw in an immunity for the hell of it. But yeah, basically he's right at average for everything for a cavalry unit, except lifesteal. He has lifesteal on top of that, which basically gives him a way to sustain, a way to stay in fights. Which is really, really good. So yeah, he's just a really good unit. Don't get it twisted though, he is level 2. It's not like he's going to take on ultimates or anything. But for a level 2, cavalry, he's unequivocally the best. Blade Dancer is decent. It's not cavalry, it's on foot, but it gets a double strike and an elemental strike, and that automatically makes it decent for its level. It probably would have been amazing if it was, you know, better stats or really fast or, you know, something. But as it is, it's basically comparable to the Shadowrunner. Although the Shadowrunner is better, I believe. Let's do another matchup. Sirens. Where is this? There they are. They're both level 2 units. They both have double strike. They both have elemental strike. This one has poison. The Shadowrunner has death. So he has a slight advantage in that he has poison. Death is going to be resisted much more often. So yeah, there's a slight advantage to the Blade Dancer. I think that's it as far as their stats go. Oh, he gets double immunity. I forgot about that. He gets single immunity eventually, but death immunity is way better. So, yeah. So, as far as overall abilities, better immunity, 2 immunities instead of 1, versus a better strike. I'd say that puts them about even as far as abilities. But I believe the Shadowrunner has better stats. 1 more attack, 1 more defense. She has 4 more health. That easily makes up for the defense. But it doesn't make up for the attack. She has 1 more damage. And he has more movement. I give a very, very slight edge to the Shadowrunner. Because I like the 1 attack more than I like the 1 damage. And I'd say the defense and the health more or less equal each other out. And I'd say their abilities easily equal each other out. But that 1 attack difference versus 1 attack versus 1 damage, that gives you more chances to, you know, to get your elemental damage in versus, you know, just straight up 1 damage. I'd rather have the 1 attack. So yeah, I'd say the Shadowrunner gets a slight advantage. Very slight. They're both, you know, 2 of the best level 2 fighters as far as just pure damage. I'd say the Shadowrunner gets a slight advantage. The Shade is a fucking beast. He's actually fairly comparable to the Blade Dancer and the Shadowrunner as far as what he's there to do. His purpose is there to do a lot of damage to a single target. The difference is he's level 3 and his laundry list of abilities are just ludicrous. Let's go and break it down real quick. First of all, he gets a dual strike. In this case, magic and death. That's very rare for a non-ultimate unit. That skyrockets his damage through the roof for a level 3 unit. He also gets lifestealing. Crazy good for sustain. He also gets physical protection, which, like I said earlier, is really rare. Even though for a level 3 his defense is right at average, when he does get hit, he only takes half the damage because of physical protection. Really good ability. He also gets dual immunities, in this case poison and death, and he gets Unholy Champion, which means when he's fighting good units, he becomes basically a pseudo-ultimate. That's only when he's fighting good units, so he's not straight up as good as the Warlord, at the very least on paper. But against good units, he does. He has those kind of stats. He becomes like a pseudo-ultimate once he has Unholy Champion. But yeah, so many abilities. If he had better stats, if his stats matched up to like the Warlords, he would be the best, level 3 brawler. He comes very close just because of his abilities. But I still say, the raw stats of the Warlord make him the better option, honestly. I mean, that's a 4 attack difference. You can't surmount that with abilities. I mean, you try to take the Shade up against an ultimate, and he's very rarely going to hit them because of that huge attack difference between the two. That's massive. There's a 4 damage difference, but that's very deceptive because, like I said, he gets a dual strike. He gets Death Strike and Magic Strike combined. The Warlord doesn't even get an Elemental Strike. So that 4 damage difference, it makes for 1 Elemental Strike, but not both of them. Total damage potential, the Shade has higher. But, like I said, you have to keep into account that 4 attack difference. The Warlord's going to hit way more often. Especially against, like, really hard targets like ultimates. He's going to hit way more often. So, he more or less makes up for 1 Elemental Strike, but not both of them. Life Stealing, really good, but, like I said, the Warlord's going to have Life Stealing because of the Orc special building. So that's more or less the same. The only other thing that this guy gets that even matters, that isn't mostly fluff, is the dual immunities, which do matter. Death immunity does make a difference. Physical protection, which kind of makes up for that 3 defense difference. He's going to get hit less, but when he gets hit, he's going to take full damage. Whereas he's only going to take half. So yeah, physical protection makes up for that defense difference. Death immunity is really good, and Unholy Champion is fairly situational. You have to be fighting good units, but it is a good buff. The problem is, like I said, I don't think he can surmount that 4 attack, honestly. Plus he has a lot of less, what is that, 6 less health? Yeah, 6 less health. And he has more movement, wouldn't matter, I'd have him in a transport. He has more resists, but not by much. I'd say they're more comparable than I would have given them credit for, but I still say I'd rather have the Warlord for fighting other ultimates. He's still the only pseudo-ultimate. The Shade is a great unit, and it probably, in fact I know for a fact it destroys most level 3 units most of the time. But it's not a pseudo-ultimate. Still a damn good unit, but not, he's not like, level 3.5 or whatever, like I was saying earlier. He's not good enough to fight ultimates and win. I mean, you match him up against a Lord, he's going to get annihilated, and he's going to barely ever hit him. So, yeah. Spider Queen, she has very similar stats on paper to the Shade, and she has a dual strike as well. In this case, is it the same? No, this is death. It's magic poison in this case. She just doesn't have all those other really cool abilities, so she's automatically inferior. She has 1 more attack for 1 less damage. You should know by now, I'd rather have the attack. So she gets 1 thing in her favor. She has less defense, but more resist by quite a bit. Resist comes into play much less. It's quite possible that 1 defense is equal to 5 resist. Very possible that those are equaled out. She has more health and a little bit more movement. So straight up base stats, she just wins, period. All he has is 1 damage on her. She just wins in stats. They both have dual strikes. She has poison instead of death, which is better. It's less resisted and it's poison. But the problem is, his other abilities are they just stack up crazy hard versus her. Let's see. Both get poison immunity. He gets death immunity, which is obviously better than death protection. For some reason, she never upgrades into death immunity, which is just crap. So yeah, he has 1 more immunity on her. He has pass wall, she has wall climbing. They're fundamentally identical. They do the exact same thing. And that's it for her abilities. He has, what is it? physical protection, which makes him way harder to kill. He has life stealing, which again makes him way harder to kill. Eventually he's going to have Unholy Champion, which is a huge buff against good units. He gets Shadow Walker and Cave Crawling for free. She only gets Cave Crawling. Yeah, I don't think she can surmount physical protection and lifesteal with what she has. Slightly better stats and Poison Strike versus Death Strike. It doesn't, life stealing and physical protection beat that pretty easily, honestly. Although I wouldn't say she's bad. She's just slightly worse than the Shade. Honestly. They're actually very, very comparable. You probably noticed I haven't mentioned Web. It's because it's a piece of crap. It's like Entangle, it's melee range, and it stuns them for a turn or whatever. If it hits, and it completely wastes your turn, you don't get to attack. It's crap, just like Entangle. But yeah, I'd say the Shade is slightly better, but they're both really good. They're also both very comparable when you break it down. They serve the exact same purpose. They're extremely similar. It's just the Shade is slightly better. Succubus is a piece of shit. The only thing that makes her special is Seduce. And Seduce is garbage. I've gone over it earlier. The attack rating on it is terrible. It's once a fight. It's crap. And by extension, Succubus is crap. Incarnate, I went over it earlier. They're fucking amazing. They're the better version of Sphinx. They can literally possess their way through an entire battle. They're just crazy good. So breaking it down, Dark Elf has Incarnate, really good. Spider, really good. Shade, even better. Blade Dancer, good. Executioner, the best. Cavalry for level 2. Really all they're missing is a good level 1 unit. That's it. Because their level 1 units are pretty meh. So yeah, that's it. Their level 2s are both good. 2 of their level 3s are really good, and their ultimate's fucking amazing. So yeah, just overall a really good race. My second favorite in the game. I'd give a slight nod to Nomads just because every single one of their units has a purpose. You know, every single one of them is at least good. Whereas all of the level 1 ones suck ass for Dark Elves, and the Succubus is complete shit. Plus, the Shade and the Spider, they're too fucking similar. They might as well be the same unit. There's no point in having them both, honestly. So basically, the Dark Elf fundamentally have one less level 3 unit. Because these are basically the same unit. So yeah, I'd still say Nomads get a slight edge to Dark Elves. So this would be my favorite. Dark Elves would be second. And then Dracs are definitely third because of their flying units. They basically have flying supremacy. Their flying units for their level are going to beat other flying units throughout the game. Undead. Undead have very few units that are good. But the few that they have are really, really good. Their level 1s are literally the worst in the game. Their level 1 units are terrible. Skeletons and zombies are terrible. Their Death Knight's a piece of crap. It does have Elemental Strike, but when you stack its stats up to other cavalry, it loses. The Vampire is another seducing. It's another seducing unit. It's probably the best of the seducing units because its upkeep is at level 3 or level 2, and it has some stats to back it up: Death Strike, Life Stealing, stuff like that. The problem is, some abilities to back it up. The problem is its stats are god awful. They're laughably bad. It's in the same boat as all those other units with really good abilities and terrible stats. So yeah. And Seduce, like I said, fundamentally sucks ass. It's a terrible ability. Spectre is when the Undead starts turning it around. This is actually a pretty damn good unit. It's very similar to the Spirit, which we'll go ahead and compare the two. Spirit is for Shadow Demons. There you are. They're both level 3 units. They both have floating. They both have an elemental strike. They're both really highly resisted elements in magic and death, so they're basically even. They both get energy drain, which is fucking amazing. Really good ability. They both get dual immunities, if I remember right. No. Okay, he only gets one. Cold. Versus death and lightning. Obviously, death is better. Not only does he get 2 immunities, but death just straight up beats cold. They both get physical protection, which is, like I've said before, a really good ability. Is there anything else? They both get pass wall, I believe. Yeah. They both have holy weakness. Is there anything he gets that the Spectre doesn't. Night vision doesn't matter. Concealment doesn't matter. No, he doesn't. I mean, he gets the double immunities, but that's the only difference between them. Really, when you look at their abilities, that's the difference. Spirit gets double immunities, and one of them is just better than Cold, flat out better, and he only gets one immunity. So on paper, looking at the abilities, the Spirit wins. But when you break down their stats, if I remember right, the Spectre wins. Let's see. Same attack, 3 more defense, fucking huge. 1 more health, not that big a deal. Same damage, same resist. He gets slightly more movement. So yeah, when you break it down, they're really similar. The only difference is the Spectre has 3 more defense, and the Spirit has better immunities. That's it. They're basically the same unit. It's the same thing from a minute ago with the Spider and the Shade. They're extremely similar. Very slight differences. But overall, I'd rather have the 3 defense than the 2 immunities, even if one of them is death, because those are going to come into play much less than him getting hit with a physical attack, so that 3 defense is just unequivocally better. Which means the Spectre is unequivocally better. They're still very close. The Spirit is not a bad unit. It's just slightly worse than the Spectre. But as far as the purpose they serve, they're actually really good sponges. You throw them out front, they have decent defensive stats, especially in the case of the Spectre, at 13 defense. They both have physical protection, which means their health stat, their fairly low health stat, isn't low at all, because they're taking half damage when they do get hit. They have energy drain and an elemental strike, and decent attack stats. Their damage is kind of crap, but decent attack stat, which means they can spread around energy drain. Energy drain cuts the person that you hit it with, it cuts their attack and damage in half. So let's say you hit a Lord with it, their attack and damage go from, I think it's like 15 and 13 down to, what is that? Depending on how you round it, like 7 and 6 or something like that. So, yeah, it's a huge cut. If you can get energy drain on them, it's crazy powerful. So, yeah, that's really what they're there for. They're there to throw out front and take some brunt of the punishment and use energy drain on things. They're not going to do terrible damage. They're still going to get 3 attacks per turn, and they get Death Strike to augment their damage. And decent attack stat. But really they're there for energy drain. But yeah, not a bad unit at all. Plus he looks pretty cool too. Bone Horror is a really good Berserker type unit, Kamikaze type unit. His defensive stats kind of suck ass. His health's pretty good, kind of like the Glutton, except he's not an ultimate. But he gets above average attack, above average damage, cause fear, elemental strike. Good stuff for an offensive unit. You basically just let him wade into combat and bite the hell out of things. And if he gets lucky, he can cause fear and get more free attacks for his pretty high damage stat. Once you add in Death Strike, that damage stat goes up to like 17 or something. I don't know, something like that. It's pretty damn good. And he gets regeneration for the hell of it. And wall crushing. So he's even good in sieges. So yeah, good unit overall. Necromancer, I think he gets Marksmanship 3 and some kind of bolt, probably black. Yeah, black bolts. So he gets black bolts and Marksmanship 3. Not a bad combination. He's not going to be the best ranged unit in the entire game, but not bad. He can do some ranged damage fairly reliably. Other than that, all he really gets that matters is Animate Corpse. He's the evil version of the Saint. If you remember back at the very beginning, the Archons, they get the Saint who has Resurrect. Both level 3 units. Resurrect and Animate Corpse are identical. They just have different names. They function exactly the same. They bring something back to life once and then put a debuff on it so you can't ever bring it back again. And you can use it once per battle. So you can bring one thing back per battle. The difference is the Necromancer has Black Bolts and Marksmanship 3, so he has a safe way to do damage, whereas the Saint just doesn't. He doesn't have a ranged attack at all, of any kind. If he wants to do any damage, he has to get into melee, which means for most of the turns you're just going to be passing them with him, waiting to resurrect something, which is garbage. The Necromancer, on the other hand, has that ranged attack and a way to resurrect things, combined. Those two things put together make him a decent unit. Still not amazing, but decent. He also has Death Strike and Lifesteal. It's not going to come into play with 9 attack and 7 damage on a level 3 unit If you're meleeing with this guy, you're either forced to or you're an idiot. Basically, he's there for the Black Bolts and the Animate Corpse, but that combination is decent. The Dread Reaper. The Dread Reaper is the only Brawler ultimate that can give the Lord a run for his money. The only one. Unless you get terribly bad rolls, unless you like roll attack and never hit, or roll damage and get all like 1s and 2s, this is the only unit that can compare to the Lord. We'll go ahead and do a straight up comparison. So, yes, let's see. The Lord has better base stats, but the Dread Reaper has better abilities. And they pretty much equal each other out. 15, 15, 30. The Reaper's at like 13, 13. Yeah, 13, 13, 26. So he has 2 less attack, nothing to sneeze at. That is a serious penalty on an equal level unit. 2 less defense, he's going to get hit more. 4 less health, he's going to die faster. 13, 13, 32. Those are the same, and the movement is slightly in the favor of the Reaper. So basically it's all these stats on the left. Worse attack, worse defense, worse health. If you break down their abilities though, they both have the exact same dual strike. They both have death and magic, which means their damage is going to shoot through the roof. Pretty sure they both have a way to pass walls, I believe. Yeah, he has wall crushing, he has straight up pass wall, so he doesn't even have to crush it, he just walks through it. What else is in common? I'm trying to think. They both have Cause Fear, which is obviously really good. I think that's where the similarities end. Oh yeah, their immunities. He has Death and Lightning, he has to have Death and something else. Are you shitting me? He doesn't get a single immunity? That's not as bad as it sounds, because he gets physical protection, whereas the Lord doesn't. And, yeah, physical protection easily makes up for that. It makes up for way more than that 2 defense difference. Way more. Physical protection fundamentally cuts damage in half. So basically, it's like twice the weight in... like, if you wanted to weight stats, it'd be twice the defense. So, for the Lord to be equal to physical protection, he'd need, like, what is that, 26 defense or something like that. So, physical protection is way, way better than that 2 defense difference. It easily makes up for the 2 defense and 2 immunities. Yeah, easily. Especially on an ultimate. So yeah, physical protection, really, really good. They both have dual strikes, both have Cause Fear. He has floating, which means he's not affected by terrain on the world map. It's a small thing, but it's something. It's not going to do much in combat. In fact, I don't think it does anything in combat. But once you start breaking down his other abilities, like life stealing, and energy drain, and physical protection, all that stuff, Unholy Champion, you put all that stuff together. Actually, he gets that too. But you put all that stuff together, and it more than matches the Lord's stats. I mean, lifestealing on an ultimate, who has really good attack stat, energy drain, he's gonna cut their attack and defense, attack and damage in half. Physical protection, he takes half the damage from every time he gets hit. You add up all these abilities, and he has literally all the best abilities in the game, all on one unit, and dual strike at the same time. I can't think of one thing he's missing. As far as literally the best abilities in the game, he's not missing any of them. Physical protection, energy drain, Cause Fear, life stealing, dual strike. He even has Unholy Champion. For when he's fighting good units, he's going to destroy them. He has Pass Wall for sieges. I can't think of one that's truly great that he doesn't have. Double strike. He doesn't have double strike. That's the only one I can think of. But in place of it, he has dual elemental strikes. So, yeah. He gets all the best abilities in the entire game on one unit. The only reason the Lord can compete is because he does have better base stats, period. That 2 attack does matter. I mean, 13 attack is pretty under par for an ultimate unit. Same for 13 defense, although physical protection makes up for it. He has under par health. I mean, straight up in a straight up fight, I think the life stealing, the energy drain, and the physical protection are going to win. Most of the time, but it's random. I mean, the life stealing is based on him actually hitting, and the energy drain it's like an 8 attack move, so it's very rare that it hits, especially on something with 15 defense. So if you just straight up fight the two, it depends if the Dread Reaper hits. Bottom line, if he can hit and proc his energy drain, he's gonna win the fight. If he can hit regularly and proc his life stealing, he's going to out-sustain the Reaper. Or, I mean, the Lord. He's going to out-sustain him. Physical protection is going to help quite a bit to keep him alive long enough to, to proc those two things. So, yeah. It just depends. I mean, the Lord could win, the Reaper could win. They're very, very close. Very, very close. If the Reaper had better attack stat, he'd be unequivocally better. Like, let's say he had 15 attack. He would be unequivocally better, period. But because he's 2 less attack, and because attack matters so much, he's just not. He's not unequivocally better. They're very close. But yeah, really, really good ultimate. One of the best in the game. Reaper's really good, Necromancer is good, Bone Horror is good, Spectre's good. It's just when you get to their level 2 and 1 units for Undead that they fall apart. They're all crap. All of their cheap units are garbage. And none of their level 3 units are amazing. They're just good. So yeah, good race overall, but not amazing. Shadow Demons! Shadow Demons have a lot of really shitty units. I don't know what else to say about that. They've got a really good cavalry level 2. Their stag mount is really good. Slightly above average base stats, elemental strike, and that's really all he needs, honestly, to be a good level 2 cavalry. Looks like he also gets death immunity too on top of that. He's not going to give the Executioner a run for his money just simply because of lifesteal, but he's close. He's probably second best in the game. In fact, I can almost guarantee he's second best for the level 2 cavalry. Scammer is a piece of shit. It does have an elemental strike, but its stats are kind of shit for what I remember. And there's not that many flying units in level 2 to compete with it, which means by default you'd have to have it compete with level 3 ones. Even with the upkeep difference, it just doesn't compare, honestly. I mean, you can straight up compare it to, like, the Flyer. There's, what is that, like a 5 attack difference or something like that? That's insurmountable. So yeah, the Scammer, it's a piece of crap. The Brain is garbage. It's basically just there for leadership and Magic Relay, neither of which should be put together. And Magic Relay is not really that useful in the first place, like I've said earlier. Everything else about it's crap. And it doesn't have Bard skills to go with leadership, so yeah, it's a piece of shit. Harvester is a decent unit. I never liked using it because, again, like the, what was it earlier? It has the exact same stats as that one earlier where I said their stats are average. 12 attack, 10 defense, 10 damage, 10 resist, literally the exact same stats. Very average stats. Its claim to fame is it has a Devour. It's an activated ability. You try and eat something at a set attack rating. I can't remember what that attack rating is. Let's check. I don't think it's great. Oh, I'm in the wrong section. I don't think it's amazing. What the hell? Where's Devour? Oh, it's not an activated ability. It's a enhancement, I guess. Right? Yeah, it is. Okay. So it's more like Swallow Whole. Gives you a chance to eat its larger... Wait, what? Eat its target. Eat its target and produce a larva. Right. Okay, so it functions identically to Swallow Whole. The only difference is it produces a larva instead of just straight up eating them. I would think that its chance to eat would be based on a lower health total. Swallow Whole is based on 20 health. They have to be below 20 health. I would assume Devour would require them to be below much lower health. But it doesn't say here, and I've never really tested the unit, so I can't say for sure. I don't know. I used to think that it was an activated ability, as in it used up your turn. It's not. It just happens every time you attack. It has a chance to happen every time you attack. That's much better. So, yeah. The Harvester may be way better than I gave him credit for. He has average stats. He has Death Immunity, which is good. He has an Elemental Strike, which is good. And he has a chance to Devour with each attack. Maybe he's way better than I thought. I'm going to have to test him out. I don't honestly know. Yeah, I don't honestly know. Already went over the Spirit. It's just slightly worse than the Spectre. And I already went over the Lord. Best ultimate unit in the game for fighting, for doing damage. I still say the Air Gallery, for overall use, is the best ultimate in the game. But the Lord is probably second, right behind it. Just because the Lord stomps a hole through through units, through armies, through, you know, castles, through everything. It's a wrecking ball. It's a beast. So yeah, let's see. That's all the units in the game broken down. Oh wait, I forgot to go into this crap. Priests, I don't like healing. I've said it multiple times now, and that's really the only thing that makes them special. They're just another bolt-based marksmanship 2 unit that gets healing. They're crap, in my opinion. I can't stand them. Machines, the best ones are ballista and cannon. The ballista and cannon are best because they get one shot, but that one shot has really high attack, and it hits like a truck. Whereas the other ones get either area damage or multiple shots with lower attack and lower damage. The ballista is slightly worse than the cannon, but not all races get cannons, and cannons are more expensive and have higher upkeep. So they're basically comparable. Cheaper upkeep, slightly less attack and damage. Higher upkeep, slightly more attack and damage. They're both good. They both get the job done. The rest of the siege weapons are pretty crap. Summoned units. There's quite a few of these. You summon these with spells from your wizard, and they eat into your mana upkeep instead of gold upkeep. They're spell-based. Most of the level 1 ones aren't worth using. I think the only one would be the Zephyr Bird, because it's amazing for scouting. It's a level 1 summon with 6 upkeep with 40 movement and flying. So you can summon it and just send it around the map and let it scout out stuff. It's not going to be good for fighting, but as far as scouting, you can't really beat it. It doesn't take up your gold income. Has 40 movement, has vision 4 eventually, and flying. So yeah, really good scout. As far as level 2, you can't get these two. These are new NPC units. You never get them. The hatchling has a chance to turn into a red dragon eventually if you level it up.